I was going to say, let's switch gears here. I think one of the questions that I want to ask, and I think that other people want to know, is like, how do you go viral? Like, you've talked a bit about this. Yeah, like, what is your approach, philosophy about creating, let's call it viral content?
Yeah, so the main thing, at least lately, that I've been going more viral for is like these long form shitpost stories. And I think that if I had to describe the difference between like 2020 and 2021 versus now, is like back then, simple memes with like a picture, one or two lines, basically that was like every single viral post. And I think that kind of content it just got a little boring, like, because everyone does it now. So I've pivoted to these like long form stories, basically like with the Chase passive income account. That's most of my stories are, these longer stories that basically end with, everyone stood up and applauded and a billionaire, was there and gave me a $1 trillion deal or whatever. So the main way I make those long form stories go viral is I basically just read Twitter and I read LinkedIn and I bookmark or save all of the just ridiculous stories I see. So let me look. Let's see. Was there one in particular you wanted to look at? Actually, might be better.
Well, it's funny. I was just looking at it now. I was like, this short Jeffrey Epstein one was pretty funny, though. The classic formats still work.
Right. And, that one is like, actually, one of my main strategies is I basically take two separate things that usually work and just put them together. So like I've made that same type of joke before, something about, installing a vending machine at an inopportune time or something like that, or just like having it's almost like a Forrest Gump joke of like any historical thing that happens. Well, Chase was in the background installing a vending machine somewhere. So like that genre of joke usually works pretty well. Again, though, that kind of one only works for my account. So like I've really built up this joke about the vending machine stuff. So yeah, someone else could post that and it probably just wouldn't do well. So I think the other part of going viral is it's actually way harder to go viral if you don't like have this kind of established voice. So like that joke, the vending machine one, can kind of do well on its own, but like from my account, my whole audience will love it, and then eventually I'll reach like the broader audience who doesn't know me and still think this is funny. But without like that unique angle, it's just much harder to go viral because if any like breaking news happens, there's thousands of accounts rushing to go viral based on that news. So you're kind of competing with 100,000 other people trying to make like either the same joke or trying to make the same observation. So you kind of have to have your unique angle. Okay, so like, yeah, let's see this story. Okay, so this was actually copied from, I saw another X post that basically said, I was talking to some friends, cost of living is crazy or whatever. So I basically take like an ordinary story and just say, how can I make this twice as ridiculous? So
I love being rich.
I love being rich.
Right.
The punchline is like,
right. So yeah, I think two lessons from that is number one, just make.
Wait, this Ronald Reagan. This is good.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
All right. Now we're having fun. Okay.
But yeah, so like with this one, I just make a normal story more ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then take the opposite stance. So like the last line I think of the original one was like, oh, the middle class is struggling. So I'll just take the opposite stance and like, another ending to that story could have been the wealthy are thriving right now or something like that. Yeah. So, and I think like with this one, with the toll, I mean, this is kind of a standard joke for me. Like, okay, how can I add a, toll booth to any situation? And it works if you're combining two jokes. So I think my most viral one in that category is basically saying my best passive income idea, adding a toll booth in front of your mom's house. So like that works because it's like a basic your mom joke, but then I'm adding, my other joke that always works, which is adding a toll booth or adding a vending machine or whatever. Yeah.
Wow, it's funny like what you were saying because like I found I kind of stumbled into exactly the same conclusion. Like all the stuff I had going viral this week were like they're rather long, which I was surprised. But like the in-depth satire is working over the short form stuff. And the other thing that I found too, which you are talking about, is like the account generally gets known for something. And then there's almost like this insider group of people who all get the joke, right? Like I literally had people who are like, who is Dave Ramsey? Like, so you like, it's hard for you to get the joke. Like if you don't know, and that's part of, I think, the whole appeal that it's the insider thing.
Right, that's true. And I think, and once you kind of build that voice, everything just becomes so much easier. Like I could keep the Chase account going for a long time with pretty minimal effort. Now that I have this established audience, that's kind of the same for a lot of people who have a personal brand. Is like, especially if they're on YouTube and Twitter and LinkedIn or whatever, you'll find that they go really hard for a little bit building one up. But then once they build the audience, they can kind of just mail it in and post. If it's LinkedIn, they can post like once every few days and still get amazing results from it. So yeah, that's really the ultimate goal of building an account like this. Like, how can I build a unique voice that I will own, rather than like, I don't want to own just some generic meme account where I'm posting the exact same thing as like 1,000 other meme accounts.
Yeah, there's like a whole. I'm sorry, go ahead. You go ahead, Paul.
Do you see people fighting your comments? Do you see where obvious new people that's never heard of Chase start, thanks in the comments?
Like, do I see them like arguing?
Yeah,
with
like,
me?
do you see new waves of people joining X who's never, seen Chase passive income?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool because I think especially when I go into a different, like if I make a joke in a different area, I will see a big surge in new followers. So like, I think I made a few jokes about like my not going to my son's baseball games or whatever. And a couple of big sports accounts picked that up. So like the 3-year Letterman account reposted it. And that got me a ton of new followers who were like, people who kind of like sports, but are also into, business and finance stuff. So I think that's the main way, is like kind of branching off into different areas, but still somewhat making my same jokes, or by like commenting on other big accounts. That seems to have the best effect. So like, if I repeat a post that I made a few months ago and it does really well, I find that I don't really gain as many followers from that versus like trying out something new, just because then I think you get like a new set of people who engage with it if it's like if it's something you don't normally talk about, if that makes sense. At the same time, though, I think some people think, oh, I've like saturated my potential audience. But I think that's actually really hard to do, because like I have 133,000 followers with the Chase account, and I'm still gaining plenty of followers without even really doing much different. And a lot of the big finance meme accounts have like 600,000 or 700,000 followers. So that's probably the ceiling for like the finance meme space. But yeah, I mean, it definitely has its, I mean, like some weeks I'll just gain a few hundred followers net, but then some weeks it'll be like 20,000 because I had either tons of posts going viral, or I had a post going viral that had to do with a subject that I don't normally touch on.
Nice.
This not Jerome Powell one continues to do really well.
Yeah, he's been one of the few that like has always, the last 5 years, has been going strong.
There were a bunch of like Federal Reserve Bank parody accounts and stuff, but this one is still going strong.
Yeah, there was. I think that's the tougher part with if you tie your account to one specific trend. And I think the not Jerome Powell one has done a good job where he isn't totally tied to Jerome Powell stuff. Because like there could be a whole year where no one really talks about the real Jerome Powell. So
what about Jerome Powell's gone? What's this guy going to do?